Paul, and the crystal cave Paul wasn't supposed to go deep into Whispering Woods alone, but the strange shimmering light he'd seen flickering between the ancient oaks yesterday wouldn't leave his mind. It pulsed like a captured star deep in the forest heart. Today, armed with his trusty flashlight batteries fresh and his brave terrier Scout, Paul slipped past the familiar berry bushes and followed the mystery. The woods grew darker, the trees taller and twistier. Strange rustles came from the undergrowth, and an owl hooted a warning. Scout's ears pricked up, but he stayed close to Paul's heels, tail stiff. Paul's heart thumped, but his curiosity was stronger. What was making that light? Then he saw it, a narrow crack in a moss-covered cliff face, half hidden by ferns, and from within ... a soft blue-green glow. "Whoa, Scout," Paul breathed. The crack was just wide enough to squeeze through sideways. Taking a deep breath, Paul wriggled in, Scout scrambling after him. Inside, the air was cool and smelled of damp stone and something else ... like ozone after a storm. Paul flicked on his flashlight, but gasped. He didn't need it. The entire cave glowed. The walls, ceiling, and floor were studded with thousands of crystals. Some were sharp and clear like frozen raindrops, others smooth and rounded like blueberries, and huge clusters pulsed with that same soft, living light. It wasn't just pretty. It felt alive. A gentle hum vibrated through the stone floor, up Paul's legs. "Amazing," Paul whispered, reaching out. As his fingers brushed a smooth palm-sized crystal, it flared brighter. Images flickered in its depths. A soaring eagle, a rushing river, a field of sunflowers. "It shows pictures," he told Scout, who sniffed a glowing cluster cautiously. Suddenly, a sharp crack echoed. A section of the cave wall near the entrance shuddered. Dust rained down. Paul spun around. The crack he'd entered through was closing. Jagged rocks shifted, grinding together, sealing the exit. Scout. The way out. Panic rising, he scrambled towards the narrowing gap, but a final thud sealed it shut with a shower of pebbles. They were trapped. The glowing crystals seemed to dim slightly, as if sharing his fear. Paul's flashlight beam felt weak against the vast, beautiful prison. He slumped against a cool crystal pillar, Scout whining and pressing against him. "Think, Paul." He remembered the pictures in the crystal. The river. He looked around desperately. Near the back of the cave, the humming was loudest. He crept forward, Scout at his heels. There, in the very center, stood a single towering crystal, taller than Paul, pulsing with intense light. At its base, the stone floor was slightly damp, and carved into the rock around it were strange symbols, spirals, and wavy lines. The river picture, Paul realized. This crystal. It's connected to water. He remembered Old Man Hemlock saying the woods sat above underground streams. Maybe this crystal tapped into one. He needed to move the big crystal, but it was massive. He pushed nothing. He pulled. Still nothing. Despair threatened to swallow him. Then Scout barked sharply, not in fear, but excitement. He was digging frantically at the damp spot near the base. Paul joined him, scraping away the soft earth with his hands. His fingers hit something smooth and round, not rock, but smooth, polished stone balls, perfectly fitted into a groove around the crystal's base. "It's a turnkey," Paul gasped. He grabbed one ball. It was heavy, but it moved. With all his strength, grunting, Paul rolled the stone ball along the groove. Scrape, ... thud. He rolled another. Scrape, ... thud. As the last ball clicked into a new position, the giant crystal gave a deep, resonant HUMMM that filled the cave. The light blazed so brightly Paul had to shield his eyes. Then, with a sound like a sigh, a section of the wall opposite the sealed entrance slid open, revealing a dark tunnel sloping upwards. Cool, fresh air rushed in. "Scout, this way," Paul cried. They scrambled up the tunnel, the crystal's light fading behind them. The tunnel opened onto a steep hillside Paul recognized the other side of Whispering Woods. They were free. Paul looked back at the hidden cave entrance, now just a dark shadow in the cliff. He touched the small, smooth crystal he'd pocketed before leaving. It glowed faintly in his hand, showing a tiny image of Scout wagging his tail. He hadn't just found a cave full of glowing rocks. He'd found a secret powered by earth and water, guarded by ancient stones, and unlocked by courage and a clever dog. And as he walked home, the hidden crystal warm in his pocket, Paul knew the Whispering Woods held more secrets, waiting for a brave heart and watchful eyes to discover them. The real adventure, he realized, was just beginning.